Hello, welcome back to episode 15 of Hive Knits and Natters podcast with me, Lizzie, the maker behind Hive Knits, over on Instagram, and you can also find me on Ravelry as Hive Knits. Welcome back, welcome to episode 15. If you're new here, then welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast all about knitting, where I natter about what I've been knitting lately and my knitting plans. And if you haven't watched any of my episodes before, then my name's Lizzie. I'm a knitter based in Manchester in the northwest of the UK, and when I'm not knitting, I work as a doctor to fund my yarn habits. So welcome. If you're a returning viewer, then hi, welcome back. And I feel like I say this every single time, but I'm so sorry it's been such a long time. I was looking in my notebook, the last time I recorded was in August, which is like months ago, a different season. It feels like a lifetime ago. A lot has happened in between. Last time I was sat here filming, I just remember it was so hot and I could barely even tolerate having any knitwear on. And now I'm really cold and I'm very grateful to have this cardigan on, and the weather outside is pretty miserable. So yeah, a lot's happened, a lot has changed, but I'm back. So yes, sorry about the long gap. I distinctly remember saying a few episodes ago that, you know, now I'd finished in A&E and was moving into GP and life was going to get a bit more regular. I was going to try and have a bit more of a regular filming schedule, but as with all good, well-laid plans in life, that has just gone out of the window, I'm afraid. But here we are a few months later and I'm back with episode 15. The good news is that because it's been such a long time, there's a lot to tell you. So yes, that's my excuse for not being on your screens any sooner. I hope you've all been okay. What's been going on? What have I missed? It's really nice to be back chatting with you all. So yes, I thought GP life was going to be less hectic, but it turns out it's just been more hectic, and like time for knitting and like doing these podcasts has just not been, it's either not been available to me or I've just not felt in the mood for doing it, if I'm completely honest. Things have been a bit up and down. Not going to go into it massively, but today I have a day off. My partner is also here. We've had a nice weekend off together. We've been to a spa. Just feeling a bit more in the mood to chat, and like I said, have a lot to catch you guys up on. I know some people aren't here for the live chat, and that's fine, and I always put in my description that you can skip ahead to X amount of time if you're not here for the live chat. But a lot of knitting stuff has happened since we last caught up, but also like a lot of life stuff has happened. So the first thing is that I actually got engaged to my partner Pete, which is really exciting. Ta-da! I really wasn't sure whether to share this on my channel or not. I haven't actually shared it on Instagram yet, except with a few close knitting friends, but I was sort of thinking about it and I was like, well, I've got the ring on and I'm going to be holding stuff up, so the astute amongst you might have noticed. So there you go, that's the news. I was actually wearing this cardigan when he proposed, which was really nice. We were on holiday with his family in Wales, and yeah, I was wearing this cardigan. It was on our 8th anniversary of when we met, and we'd gone on like a little date night, like walk down to the little town, and I was wearing this cardigan, so it's quite funny that I've got it on again today. This ring is actually not the real deal, it's a fake, because the real deal is in for resizing. May as well show you, because if it was me, I'd be really nosy and want to see. So this is actually not the real one, but it looks similar. It's not similar, but it looks relatively similar. the real one is a little bit big, so it's in for resizing. So I'm just knocking about with this fake on my finger, which is great. So yeah, that's exciting news. The other thing that's happened since we last chatted is that we are now the owners of 2 kittens who have taken up a lot of life space and time. They are just a bundle of chaos, but they are like, we're so in love with them. We have a boy and a girl called Hugo and Molly, and we've had them for just over a month now, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. They actually went for their second vaccinations today, and that's another reason why I was like, right, I need to film, because they are conked out in their bed. I'm looking at them over here, and just any other day that I'm here with them, even when I'm not at work, they're just like so lively, and they love knitting, as in they love to like bat it about. Every time I get my knitting out, I think that's partly why I've done a bit less, is like it is quite hard to knit with them around. They've definitely chewed through a bit of yarn, which is not ideal. But yes, they've had their second jabs today, and after the first ones they were really, really like sleepy and like just slept all afternoon. Just, you know how you feel when you have a vaccination as a human, you just feel a bit like washed out by it sometimes. So I think it's no different for them, and they've now gone to sleep in their bed, and I thought this might happen, so again I was like, right, I'm going to pounce on the opportunity. So I know not everyone's into like pets and cats in particular, but I will put a bit of like maybe a picture of them or just a little bit of footage of them either here or at the end. But yes, they are just about 3.5 months old now. They were born on the 21st of July, and we got them when they were about 9 or so weeks, I think. Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? And yeah, they are chaos, but we love them. So yeah, a lot's happened since we last spoke. I think that's all the live chat. Maybe I should have put it at the end, but there you go, it's been said now. Shall we talk about some knitting? Good idea. So what I'm wearing, this is my first cardigan, yay! It was finished like a few months ago, and the test knit for this is well underway. Thank you so much, like I'm just gonna say it now, to like everyone who applied. I had way more applications than I could like have on board the test knit, so especially for like the most popular sort of mid-range sizes. So yeah, it was really tricky to choose, but I'm very sorry if I couldn't pick you, and thank you so much to everyone that applied. I do have an amazing test knit team on my side. The garments they're creating are just so stunning. I will have some footage playing next to me of some of the photos that they've already shared through Instagram, just to keep you posted. If you want to follow the test knit, just follow on Instagram the hashtag the First Cardigan. The test knit is, I think actually today is the deadline for the 4 smallest sizes, and then the sizes, the next 4 and the final 4 sizes are running a bit longer because it takes longer to knit a bigger garment. But I'm really, really hopeful that I will be able to have the pattern released before Christmas. I'm not putting any pressure on myself because life has been very, very busy, and luckily there hasn't been too much sort of trouble with the pattern. Like most of it, the test knitters have been able to knit without needing like too much support from me, which, you know, I'm very pleased that I had it like graded and tech edited and stuff, because it does really help in the process, I think. But what was I saying? I've literally lost my train of thought. I remember with the first sweater seeing their test knitter creations like come to life, and seeing the design in like different colours is just, it's amazing. Like I've only ever seen this design in this really obnoxious green. So it's nice to see it in lots of different colours. There's cobalt blue, there's loads of lovely neutral ones, there's a couple of pinks, oranges, yeah, it's just great. There's a couple of either very dark grey or black ones as well, which I absolutely love, and a white one as well. So yeah, test knit is going really, really well, and I'm really hoping this pattern will be available in December at some point. I think the deadline for the last 4 sizes is like the first week of December maybe. The pattern is pretty much, well, it's written. I kind of did it more advanced than just a draft form when I sent it out. It just needs the tweaks from the feedback from the test knitters, so I'm hoping that there's not too much work to do. I sort of 2/3 of the way created the Ravelry listing as well, at the end of the summer when the test knit was launched, so fingers crossed we should be okay. But yeah, I haven't worn it in a podcast episode yet, so I thought I would show you guys today. I'm just wearing it with like a camisole underneath today. I'm wearing it buttoned up. You can see my spotted buttons that I chose. I will insert some pictures of me wearing this in a little photo shoot that Pete very kindly did for me, where you can see it like on my body, like full length sort of thing, which is a bit easier than when I'm sitting down like this. But this version is made in Filcolana Arvetta and held as a strand of that and a strand of Filcolana Tilia mohair. Lots of the test knitters are using that same combination. There's a couple of people doing single strand versions. There's people using different mohairs and different main strands. There's lots of different combinations going on, which is really exciting. This is a size 4, which I have knitted the sample of. On me, this is giving, just for some context, you can't necessarily tell so well when I'm sat down, but in the pictures I'll insert when I'm like full length. This has given me a 12cm positive ease on the bust and 14cm positive ease at the upper arm. That's the ease that's knit into my sample garment, and so when you see the pictures you'll see how that fits me, but you could make this with more or less positive ease. I think it would look nice either way, but just so you know, for context, that's how it fits me. So I think that's most of what I wanted to say about the first cardigan. I'm very, very excited for the test knit to be drawing to a close and to see some finished cardigans on some bodies, because I think that is, again, you know, a really exciting stage of the test knit, when people start to finish. Watching people, you know, send their progress pictures and things, the magic moment in every one so far has been when they've added the button band, and I remember this with my own sample. It just really, really, really brings the whole piece to life, and now everyone's showing in the test knit group like the buttons that they're going to pick, and it's just so exciting. So yes, keep your eyes peeled for the pattern in hopefully a month-ish time. If it doesn't happen before Christmas, it doesn't happen. It's really not the end of the world, but that's my sort of goal, if that's the right word. So yes, this is the first cardigan by me, coming soon. So, finished objects. I've failed massively. Well, I haven't, in that I have a finished object, but it's not here because I gifted it. You may remember in a previous episode I was making a Friday sweater mini for a friend's baby who was due in October, and he came along on in the first week of October. So he is now just over a month old, and I actually met him a week ago. and took the sweater and gave it to Mum. I was toying with the idea of filming a podcast last week, but there was a lot else going on and like it just didn't feel right. So I thought, right, I'm going to take it as a gift for Mum. But I have taken a little bit of footage of the finished sweater and a picture, so I'll pop them in while I'm chatting about it. But I was really pleased with the finished object actually. This was one of those knits where I absolutely loved knitting the yoke of it. I really, really enjoyed it. And then the body, even though it was tiny, just turned into a bit of a slog. I don't really know why. And the sleeves were really quick because they were very, very small. After blocking, the sweater changed a lot because it's in broken rib. So when I'd finished it and it wasn't blocked, it looked like really slim and really long, kind of like a little dress. I was thinking, this looks a bit weird. But when I blocked it to the actual right broken rib gauge, it was much more jumper-esque. And Mum really, really liked it. I made it as the smallest size of that pattern. There is the Friday Sweater Baby, but Mum said, could we do like a 1 year sort of size so that it's not for a newborn and he'll get a bit more wear out of it, which I thought was very sensible. So I made the smallest size, which is 1 to 2 years. So hopefully by the time he's a year old, it'll be next October and it'll be starting to get cold enough that he'll need a little jumper. Unless he grows massively and is on the bigger side, in which case it will fit him a bit sooner. So we'll have to see. But I made that got the yarns here. So I used Sunday by Sandnes, which I bought from Simona of Knit Yarns, who by the way is soon to be opening her real life physical shop, which is really, really exciting. It's been a long time in the making, and yeah, I'm so excited for her. It's going to mean that she can stock some different additional yarns to the ones that she already does. I didn't realise this, but some yarn companies only allow you to resell or sell if you have a physical shop. So yay for Simona. Please continue to support her if you can, shop small, etc. So anyway, side note, this is the yarn that I used. Just get that to focus. So this is Sandnes by Sunday by Sandnes in 2 colours to make the stripy sweater. This one is that orange feeling, which is Sandnes' collaboration colour with Petite Knit, and this one at the top is kit. Now I ordered 2 of the kit and 1 of this orange feeling, and this is what's left of the second ball of kit. I haven't weighed this yet, but there's probably about half of what there was to start with. But this one is the original orange. Is that a lie? I'm sure it's the original one. It basically didn't use any of the contrast colour, barely any. So yeah, that's my yarns. I absolutely love this orange colour. It's brilliant, and I think it goes really, really well with this kit colour, which means putty. It's a really nice off-white colour. It sort of leans grey rather than cream, which I really like. I'd quite like to make a sweater for myself in this colour in the future. So that's that. So yeah, I used those 2 colours together, knit on 3mm needles, which was a bit of a slog even at that size. I said before I really like the adult version of that pattern, but I'm just not sure I could hack that amount of broken rib on such small needles, but we'll see. I think it's a t-shirt, so it wouldn't have the long sleeves, but even so, that's a lot. Yeah, I think that's all there is to say about that. I'm sorry I don't have it, but I hope you can get the gist from my pictures and video. So let's move on to works in progress. I've got a few to share with you. Don't have any acquisitions because I've been very good and haven't bought any more yarn. I think that might be a lie. I think I'm struggling to remember what I have and haven't bought since the last podcast episode. I think maybe the last whip I'm going to show you is using an acquisition, actually. Sorry. But apart from that, I haven't bought any yarn. I've been trying really hard to knit from stash, which has kind of been a bit of a theme for me this year. So the first whip I will show you is one that has been on the needles for quite some time. I kind of paused making it over the summer just because other stuff was like taking priority, and it is very much a wintry, autumn wintry knit. But when the weather started to get colder a week or so ago, I just really wanted it finished. And I was like, right, I actually don't have that much more to do on it. So this is my sweater number 11 by My Favourite Things Knitwear, which is a really, really popular pattern. And as you can see, I've now done like really the bulk of the work. I think there's not much more to go on the body at all. I've just paused there because I ran out of yarn at that point, but I think it's only a few centimetres off the ribbing. And then I've done a lot of one sleeve, so much so that I'm down to the ribbing at the cuff, which is this twisted rib feature. This needs to be quite a bit longer, this ribbing. I think it's like 6 or 8 centimetres, and it matches the twisted rib at the neck. Now, the neck. No, let's talk about the yarn I'm using first. Can you tell I'm out of practice? So I'm using a combination of Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool, which is this white yarn here, in the colour Snow White. Love Peruvian Highland wool, 100% wool, real good workhorse yarn, like I've said before, really good colour range, and for a 100% wool, it's pretty soft. And I'm holding it with this stunner. This is hand-dyed mohair by the lovely Raya Yarns, who is based in Ireland. This is in the colourway Artemis, and together they make this beautiful speckled effect that you can see here. So yes, as I was saying, the neck. So in this pattern, it's actually got a big like funnel neck. And I've done about this much of the twisted rib of the neck, and this is why I've put it on hold, because I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it. I don't know, can't decide if I want it like stand up like that and bind off. The sample, how you sort of meant to knit it, would be kind of as much as this probably again, and then rolled over into like a turtleneck or a funnel neck. I'm not quite sure what's the right term. But then I also enjoy it, as it was at the beginning of this, as a folded neck. It should be like that. And I've seen a few people on Instagram who've kind of pattern hacked this and done a folded neck. I do love a folded neck. And practically, I think it might be better. I always like the idea of like big funnel turtlenecks, and then in reality, I don't know if they might just get a bit annoying. But I decided that I was going to do the rest of the sweater, then try it on, and just decide right at the end. If I did do a folded neck, probably wouldn't do it much higher than this, maybe a little bit. So we'll see. So I really don't have that much more to do actually. You can see that it's like this drop shoulder design with this lovely increased detail on the back, which is very similar to the new, is it sweater number 23 that My Favourite Things has just released. It's also got this beautiful line on the back of the shoulder. In fact, this looks quite similar to sweater number 23 with the folded neckline. It's not in twisted rib, but sort of accidentally made. I think that's a drop shoulder design. Yeah, made my own little hybrid. I'm going to do a split hem. I think I've said this before. This sweater number 11 pattern doesn't have a split hem, but I like the split hem effect of the very similar Wednesday sweater designed by Petite Knit. So I'm going to add a split hem to this. So this is the smallest size of the pattern. This is size 1. This is one of my favourite things knitwear patterns that only has 3 sizes. However, when you take into account the very large amount of positive ease, I think it's like almost 40 centimetres, the finished products are larger garments, but they would not have the intended positive ease on a larger bust circumference. So there is debate as to whether or not that is size inclusive, with the consensus landing on no, because the ease isn't the same for all body shapes and body types. I think her more recent patterns are more size inclusive than just the 3 sizes, which can only be a good thing. This is knit in size 1. However, as I've said in previous episodes, I had some trouble with rowing out because the top portion of this is knit flat and then you join in the round. And I ended up going down a needle size for my knit stitches instead of going up a needle size from my purl stitches, which might sound like there'd be no difference, but it has made a bit of a difference, and my gauge is now a bit tighter than it should be. However, it leaves me with 30 centimetres of positive ease instead of like 38, so I'm okay with that because that's still a lot. So this is meant to be knit on 5mm needles. I am knitting it, now I'm in the round, on 5mm needles, but when I was knitting flat I was using 4.5 for the knits and 5 for the purls. Yeah, don't think there's any more to say on that. I'm really hoping that next time I film I might have it finished, because there's actually not that much more to do. You know, one more sleeve and the split hem really. So come on, I'm saying it now for accountability. Hopefully this will be finished. And it'll be nice to sit here and snuggle in it while I chat with you guys. So that is whip number 1. I'm going to take this opportunity to rejig my camera because we're coming up to the half an hour mark. So whip number 2 is not for me, it's a gift for my partner, for Pete, for Christmas. He knows about it, which makes things a hell of a lot easier. I knit him a giant beanbag a few years ago for his birthday, and that was a surprise, and my god, it was hard to hide it. So I just decided that I want it to fit him, so I need to try the sweater on him, and I wanted him to choose the colour and stuff, so it was just much easier to have him be aware of the gift. Last episode I talked about this yarn in my acquisitions for this project. I am using Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, which at the time, before I started this project, I had never used before. I have some in stash in a different colour, in like an icy blue colour, which I'm going to make a sweater number 9 with when I get around to it. But this is in the colour slate green, and it is just delicious. It's really, really nice. And I'm so glad that we picked the colour out together, because he really, really likes this, and it's looking lovely knit up. So yes, Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino slate green. And here, oh dear, yarn overboard. Here it is knit up. So this has changed. I mean, in the last episode, this was just lots of balls of yarn. It wasn't anything. I hadn't even cast it on. So loads of progress has been made on this. I hope this is going to pick up in the dying light of the day. But this is what I've done so far. It's bunched up because it's on a cord that's not really long enough, but hopefully you can kind of get the gist of what's going on here. I'm going to bring it a bit closer. So this is the fabric that I'm making with the heavy merino. It's really, really lovely. Let me see if I can just zoom in a bit. Focus. There we go. This is the collar. It's top down raglan with a 2x1 rib collar with short rows in the back. So the back of the collar is longer, which is very clever. And you can see the raglan line extends there, sort of following the rib 2x1 pattern, which is really, really cool. And then that's the texture that's made by the stitch pattern. So I have done most of a sleeve. It's quite rapid sleeve decreases, you can see by the shape of that sleeve, and a fair bit of body. Men's sweaters, my god, they are so big compared to something that I'd make for myself. I remember I found this when I made the zipper sweater man for my brother, and now I'm finding it with this one as well. It's just like the body is just like so many stitches and so long. So from the underarm, I think this needs to be 37 centimetres. Obviously, I'll try it on him. But I've done 22 and I'm already like, it seems really long. I am knitting a size 4, which is slightly less positive ease than recommended in the pattern, but we did a bit of looking on Instagram, and Pete just really didn't want it to be like too oversized, wanted it to fit, and particularly didn't want too much like gapping around the collar, like wanted the neckline and collar to sit like quite like high up, because he didn't want like t-shirts and stuff to show. So actually what I've done is make a size 4, and then when I was about to split for body and sleeves, when I finished the yoke, tried it on him, and I've added some extra increases because it wasn't quite meeting under the arms. He's quite like big in the upper arms and like broad in the shoulders. So it's sort of probably a size 4.5 really. I just kind of did a few more increases, kept trying it on him until it fit basically, which is why it was so important that he knew about it, because otherwise I'd have just been completely clueless and it wouldn't have fit as nicely. So yes, this is size 4.5, knitting on the recommended needles, which are 5mm, so it's like decent speed that this knits up. The sleeve knit up really, really quickly, and the body is only taking a long time because it's big, because it's a men's garment. I have a deadline of Christmas. It's going to be his Christmas present, but you know, we live together. He sees me working on it. He tries it on all the time. So if it's not quite ready for the 25th of December, I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker. And he's very, very excited to wear it, which is lovely. He's like, is it ready yet? Is it going to be ready soon? Which is really nice to have someone so excited for something that you're making them. I can't remember if I said, this is the single malt by Max the Knitter. I've seen like lots of people make this pattern, and when I've shared it on Instagram, lots of people have commented on it and said they're making one for their partner or like someone in their lives as well. I actually think I'd really like one for myself. I really like the stitch pattern. Maybe I'll even make one for myself, who knows. But yes, Laura Penrose made one for her husband last Christmas, and Jonathan Days has made one, and there were some really lovely ones on Ravelry when we were looking at colour choices. So yeah, very pleased with the pattern. It's really easy to follow, and yeah, hopefully it'll be finished by Christmas. So that is whip number 2. It's kind of at a similar stage to my sweater number 11 actually. One sleeve and slightly less of the body done, but they're at sort of similar stages, that stage of sweater where it's just like, oh, am I ever going to finish this body? It'll happen. Oh, throwing that on the floor has made the cat sit up. let's proceed with caution. So whip number 3, I have lost a ball of yarn on the floor, so one sec. I don't think I'd started this in the last episode of the podcast either. This is the Eleanor Dress by Rowan, or Mode at Rowan Quail Studio. They seem to have loads of different names, and this was very kindly gifted to me by them last year from their collection 5, autumn winter collection, which is a booklet of all different patterns, and they asked me if I'd like to knit one of them, and I said yes please, and I've chosen the Eleanor Dress. I'll pop a picture in of what the finished garment is going to look like. I am making this with Rowan's yarn, which is their alpaca soft DK. And oh my god, when they say alpaca soft, they mean alpaca soft. It is stunning. I think this might be one of the softest yarns I've ever felt. It's really, really nice. This is in charcoal colour. You can see how thick, the strand is there. It's really, really lovely. It's a merino and alpaca mix. And yeah, really, really nice. And this is how it's knitting up. Hope you can appreciate that there. This is the cast on edge at the bottom here. And yeah, it's just knitting up really, really nicely. It's in broken rib, more broken rib. And this pattern is knit flat, which originally I was like, oh, shall I hack it and try and knit it in the round? But actually in the end I've decided to just knit it flat and have it as like, you know, like a watching TV or travelling knit. Like the other day we got the train to Leeds and I just took this because it folds up quite small. I made some decent progress on it actually. It's on 4mm needles, and I'm making the second size, I think, in the pattern. And this is the back panel, and then there'll be a similar front panel and then the 2 sleeves. Because it's a dress, it is a lot of knitting. Like I think this back panel needs to be just over 100 centimetres before you like do the armhole shaping, which is mad. I can't remember how many this is, how far I'd got. I think maybe like 30 centimetres or so. So yeah, it's going to take me a while, but the fabric it's creating is so nice and it's going to make such a lovely dress. I can tell. Obviously it's not going to look like this, but you can see just how the fabric's going to look. It's really, 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 really soft. 100% next to skin soft. It's lovely. And it's a different technique of broken rib to the Friday Sweater Mini, which is interesting, and I can tell it's going to be really, really warm and cozy. So yeah, really, really nice. Very much enjoying knitting this. So thank you again to Rowan for sending me the yarn, and they actually very generously sent the whole Collection 5 booklet, and not just this pattern, which is like above and beyond what they needed to do. Anything else I was going to say about that? No. I've just written softest yarn ever in my notes, and yes, I would agree with myself. It is very, very soft. So yes, maybe I'll have a bit more progress on this next time. Certainly won't be finished, I can tell you that for nothing. It's going to be a slog, I think, but hopefully, you know, I can just see myself like over Christmas, because I actually have Christmas off work this year. Yay! I was working last Christmas on paediatric ward in the hospital, and this year I have the whole week off, which is amazing, and I'm very excited. So I can see myself just like doing a lot of like chill TV Christmas knitting on this. So hopefully it'll be done before it's too hot in the spring to wear it, but we'll see. Okay, I feel like I'm flying through now, having like jabbered on at the beginning for forever. I only have one more thing to show you, and this is it's a whip in the, I'm not sure if I'm going to whip it back, rip it back. I finished it yesterday and blocked it, and it's a work in progress because it needs work, essentially. I kind of like teased on Instagram that I was maybe looking into making like a matching like hat for the first sweater / cardigan kind of vibe with like stockinette and half fisherman's rib. I've kind of been playing around with like how to do that, and kind of tinkered about with a few ideas. I absolutely love the Oslo hats that I've made. I've made 3, and I can't remember which episode of my podcast it is, but one of the episodes I basically have all 3, and I'm just like, I've made all these Oslo hats. I have one here actually to show you, to compare. This is the one I made for Pete in mustard yellow, and this is made with Lanagatto VIP, which is a merino cashmere blend, which makes for just deliciousness. And I really like the Oslo hat. I like the yarn I've made them in, and I like the fit, and I like just how it is. I think it's a good like solid hat pattern, hence why I've made 3 of them. They're not all for me, only one of them is for me. So I was like, I'd like to make my own hat pattern with the stockinette and fisherman's rib, but I was kind of looking at the Oslo hat as like a starting point. And I'll just show you what I've come up with. So this is the remnants of the yarn. Literally just picked up this yarn and there's just a cat toy in it. Oh no, now they're looking at me from the bed. Sorry, shh, go back to sleep. Shh. Nothing to see here. This is the yarn that they've chewed. For some reason they love this one. I don't know why, but yes, so I've used, because I really liked the material that I've made the Oslo hats from, I've used Lanagatto VIP again in this lovely, it's called sky blue, but in practice it's more of an ice blue really. Yeah, really lovely, really soft. This is sort of on a par with that Alpaca Soft DK, even though that Alpaca Soft DK doesn't have cashmere in, but it feels like it does. So I ordered some of this from lovely Simona, just 2 skeins. When I've made the Oslo hats, I've actually used 3 skeins, so that was maybe error number 1. But you know, I was just like, let's just start somewhere, and this is what we have. Oops. So you can see there that that's where I've got this mix of stockinette and half fisherman's rib. Now this has been blocked, and there are a number of issues with it. It's a first draft. Issue number 1 is that it's too big, like the circumference is too big, and I think that's why it's like bunching so much. There's just too many stitches. I kind of made the mistake, I've never designed a hat before, and I kind of made the mistake of measuring my own head, calculating my gauge, and just going from there with like 0 ease, when actually it probably needs a bit of negative ease, because this is just a bit too big. Like it fits my head, but it needs to be a bit smaller than my head, I think. So that was probably error number 1. Error number 2 is that I think it's not quite tall enough. When I lay it against the Oslo hat, you can see even with that bit of like puckering, the Oslo hat is just like, it's taller, and yeah, it's just not quite sitting right. Like the bottom is very curved, whereas the Oslo hat sits, you know, like flat. So one of the challenges with this was like, I knew I wanted my 2 different stitch patterns, but I couldn't work out how to do the crown decreases. First of all, not that you can see here, but because I frogged that version, but sorry, I'm just trying to put it so you can see what I'm talking about. Still working with an upside down camera viewfinder, so bear with. First of all, I tried to put the decreases like actually here, like in this pearl column, but that just looked really messy. So then I thought, right, I will put them like just to the side of the half fisherman's rib, and I thought that kind of reflected like the 3-stitch raglan that I have in the first cardigan and the first sweater. That's how it looks sort of from the crown. And I can't tell if, I've got my hair up so I'm not going to put this on, sorry, but I can't tell if these decreases just don't look good. It all just looks a bit bunchy. And I'm like, is that because there's too much material? Or are these decreases that I've done like contributing to the sort of ridginess of the pattern, if that makes sense? Because where there's a sort of decrease line, is that just contributing to like the ridginess? So I did decreases every other round to make these here, decreases every other round, and then after a certain amount I then did like more rapid decreases to get to the crown. And I think maybe I should have just done a bit more height in the hat, because it's just, yeah, it's a bit small. I'm also wondering whether if I just cast on less stitches and did a smaller hat, it would look better with these decreases as I have them, or whether to try a different method and try putting them in the middle. You can see in the Oslo hat they're done differently. They are, yeah, you can see there's like decreases either side of one stitch to make a line which meet in the crown, whereas with this I kind of put them either side of a half fisherman's rib panel. So, not sure. Needs more work. What do you think? I feel like the concept is there, but this is not the one. But Rome wasn't built in a day. I did this as like a double brim, one fold, you can see there, whereas like lots of other hats, including this one, have a triple fold. I was thinking, well, different strokes for different folks, could include instructions for both in a pattern, but I might make, I am going to make a second version, so I might make a triple folded one and then just see how that looks. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think that if it wasn't so baggy, these decreases would look okay here? Or do you think that it would be better with decreases in the middle, a la the Oslo hat and lots of other hats? This is my other issue. I feel like there's a very fine line between like inspiration and copying, and like I don't think you could ever say this is like a copy of the Oslo hat, because, you know, this half fisherman's rib panel thing is very different, and like that's my idea. But I don't know. I was like, I don't want to do the crown decreases exactly the same, because I don't want it to seem like I've copied the Oslo hat. But at the same time, there's only so many ways you can do crown decreases, and I actually refuse to believe that that is an original concept on the Oslo hat. I've seen lots of other hats do it the same way. So back to the drawing board. Comments and opinions very much welcome. But yeah, I think the concept is there. I hope there will be the first hat in the future. I think it looks cute with the half fisherman's rib. Just think it needs to be smaller, taller, and potentially with some different decreases. But yeah. So that's it, I think. feels shorter today, but I have reset the camera once, so it's at least half an hour, probably coming up for an hour, all told. It's been really nice to chat. I was really unsure actually when I sat down to film this. I was like, oh, the cat's gonna get up. Do I feel in the mood? Just feeling a bit meh. And actually now I feel like better. Feel a bit more chirpy, and I've really enjoyed filming this, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I'm sorry again, it's been such a long break, but life happens, so it is what it is, and it just means there's been a lot to chat and show you, and a lot of progress on various different things. So keep your eyes peeled for the first cardigan. I was blown away with the support from the first sweater, and I'm nervous because I don't know if the first cardigan will be received as well, but I'm just trying to be like, what will be, and try and leave it up to fate a little bit. But yeah, your support is always appreciated, so thank you so much. Let me know what you think of the projects I've chatted about, particularly the hat. I'm very intrigued to hear your opinions on that. Let me know what you've been working on whilst watching this. I always like to hear that, and it's like, oh, so and so's been making an XYZ while we've been chatting. And I'll really try hard not to leave it so long next time, but no promises. Yeah, that's it from me. Take care, everyone. If you don't already subscribe, please do so. It really helps, and like, it's so nice to know that there's like a few thousand of you who like subscribe and watch me blather on about knitting for an hour. And leaving a comment and liking the video definitely helps bump it up the algorithm as well. So thank you so much. I will leave you in peace. Enjoy your morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is with you, whatever season you are in. I'm going to make a cup of tea and probably maybe try and do a bit of editing on this actually. It's Monday today. I don't know when I'll get this out. I am going on a course in Scotland at the end of this week, so I kind of like to have it out before then. But again, we'll see. I'm amazed that the cats have let me film this. They're still asleep, so I think that vaccine is really doing its thing. But yes, they've been good as gold. Okay, take care. Bye.